What's up guys, Shawnthebro here, and in today's episode of the Super Smash Brothers and Platform Fighter tutorial series, we are going to be going over the match over screen part 2 and rematches and retries. Essentially we can come into our game here, and I will go to battle, and I will name my character STB, and I will load up a level. I have changed my timer, my match time, to 5 seconds, so after 5 seconds the match will end. Once the match ends, we get this match over pop-up that we implemented in the previous episode, and now the gray button is the button that we are selecting. So I'm on rematch right now, and I'm on main menu. If we press main menu, we're going to go back to the main menu. All is going to be good. Now let's load it up again. And we'll wait for the 5 seconds to run out. Now we're going to hit rematch. You'll see that the fight starts again. Everything that has been created or done goes away, and instead we replace it with the original version of the level. So it's a full rematch. We're not keeping any persistent data, we're just restarting. We'll also be able to press a key on our keyboard or input on our controller, or even a mouse click on these buttons to use menu options on the match over screen, which we did not implement in the previous episode. We had only implemented the navigation. Alright, so before we get started, if you want to get caught up in the series, I'll link you to this playlist right here in the top right corner, where you can check out every episode we've done of the Super Smash Brothers and Platform Fighter tutorial series. If you don't care about that, I'll link you to this episode right here, which is the previous episode in the Super Smash Brothers series where we created the match over menu, and we're going to be expanding upon that logic today, so it will be helpful to have that before going into this one. We can go ahead and get started. So this is a code and blueprint tutorial series. We're going to start in the code today. So specifically, let's go to the code and let's go to our base game instance.h. What we're trying to accomplish for today's episode is rematching. And to rematch, we need to know what level we were on. You could manually reset all the data to their original state, and this would work fine. We actually did this in our fighting game tutorial. However, the fighting game has a lot less going on in a match in terms of spawnable objects and persistent data than a platform fighter, and so in this case, it is easier to just reload the level. However, both methods are fine. If you want to see the other method, you can go ahead and check out the fighting game. It has implementation for rematches that is handled that way. In this case, we're going to reload the level, and to do that, we have to know what level we're actually on. You can just get this data from the engine and make it work, but I like to keep track of this through an enum anyway, because then we can do certain things with it. For example, maybe we only want to have certain items on certain levels, or unique cases on levels, and it's good to know what level we're on, regardless of today's implementation. So, I'm going to make a new enum that I call eLevelType for enum level type. So uenum blueprint type, that way we can access this in the blueprint. It's an enum class, again called eLevelType, and it is of type uint8, so :uint8, or unsigned integer 8-bit. Now for my values, I have e_none with a display name of none, so umeta display name equals none. This is how it will show up in the blueprint when we're looking at it. I have the training stage and the training stage 2. So just like my music where I had the songs for these 4 scenarios, I want to have all my stages set up. So none is actually going to be my menus in this case. I don't need a unique one for the main menu or anything, at least not at the current time. But the training stages are 2 different levels, and I want to know what one I'm on, so I'm going to make an enum value for each of those. Once we've created this enum, we want to make a variable of it so we can store the value. So I'm scrolling down to my variables. I have made an instance of this enum eLevelType. I've called it levelType, and I've made it EU property, edit anywhere, blueprint read write with a category of levels. Basically, this just makes it so we can access it and edit it in the blueprint. And once we have that set up, we can go to the base game instance.cpp or the constructor in here. We can set the default value for level type, and I'm going to set it to eLevelType : e_none. Because when we load up the game, the player is not going to be on a level. We're going to be on the main menu, which again I don't have a value for right now. That is just e_none. At this point, we can launch the editor. First thing we want to do is have an input to press confirm on our menu. We could do this with the mouse, but I'm going to go ahead and add this now. So if we go to edit project settings, and scroll down to our input. Input. We can add a new action mapping here that I've called menu confirm. So we had menu up and menu down from the previous episode. I've now added menu confirm, and I've paired that to the one key on the keyboard. You could add a gamepad input. To do this, you can add an action mapping to the group by pressing the plus. And let's say for the gamepad, we will make this the bottom face button. So on an Xbox controller, this would be the A button. So gamepad face button bottom. Now remember this because we're going to need to listen to it in our widget. So now we have that. Let's go ahead and open up our match over menu widget that we created in the previous episode. So match over menu. I haven't changed anything in the design, so we can go right to the graph, and let's go to the event graph. First thing we're going to need is a reference to the base game instance because we're going to need to access that level type that we made earlier in the episode. At the start of event construct, I went ahead and got my game instance, get game instance, and I cast it to my base game instance. This is my code class game instance, base game instance. Then I can drag off of that and click promote to variable to make a variable of this type. I've called mine game instance reference. If you don't want to do that, you can just make a new variable, call it game instance reference, and change the variable type to base game instance object reference. Then just make sure you set it to the result of the cast. Now the other thing we're going to need to do in construct is listen for our new input action. So I've added a new listen for input action. So listen for input action, and target self is fine because it's going to be this widget listening to it. The action name has to be the new one, which is going to be menu underscore confirm. That's what I called mine. The event type is going to be IE pressed because it's when we press it we want to activate this event. Doesn't need to consume in this case. And callback, we're going to drag off and add a custom event. And I've called that confirm P1. Now, we want to call this function confirm selection in here, but we don't have that function yet. So let's go ahead and make a new function by pressing plus function here. And then I called the function confirm selection. So it'll open it up automatically when you create it, and I've called it confirm selection. Now in here what we need to do is determine the current selection that the player is on, and then handle the logic accordingly. So first thing I do is grab current selection and get it. So if we're on the main menu button, we want to do different logic than if we're on the rematch button. So current selection, drag off, switch on int. We want to add a pin for each one of the selections that we have. So I only have rematch and main menu right now, so I'm only going to add 2 pins. 0 is the rematch button. So what we're going to need is our game instance reference. We can go ahead and get it. You can convert it to a validated get if you want to make sure it's valid. It's not a bad idea. I did not do it up above. Your game instance reference definitely should be valid at this point, but it is always a good idea to check before using it. Game instance ref. We're going to drag off of that and get the level type. This is the new variable that we made. And we want to drag this into a switch on eLevel type. And we're going to handle these cases differently. So if it is type none, it should not be at this point under any circumstances, but if it is, we don't want to get the player stuck in level, so we're going to call open level by name, and we're going to pass in the name of our main menu, which as you can see here is just main menu. Now I'm going to delete this logic because that's what we have up here. I will go ahead and convert this game instance reference to a validated get because why not? Now, the training stage, if the level type is training stage, we want to open the appropriate map, which for me is called Side Scroller Example Map. This one right here, this is our training stage level type. If it is training stage 2, we want to open up a level called Training Room, which is right here for me. So make sure you have the names completely correct and put them in here, and now our rematch will be good to go. The other case is if the current selection is index 1. This is the main menu, so we want to open the main menu level. My main menu level is this. This is where I start my game from. That's where we want to go back to. So open level by name, main menu. Once you've created confirm selection, make sure to go back to the event graph and call it under the confirm P1 event that we made. Your menu, your widget here is good to go, but we need to actually set that level type enum value, and we're going to set those in each level blueprint. So this is my main menu. In Unreal Engine 4, there will be a button that says Blueprints, and you can click it and click Open Level Blueprint. But in Unreal Engine 5, you click the little graph here, and then Open Level Blueprint. I had this in Begin Play for my main menu level prior, where we were creating the Press Any Key screen and adding it to the viewport. I've added some other logic after this now to get the game instance, cast it to the base game instance, and then we're going to call set level type. Set level type. And I'm going to set it to none. So if we return to the main menu, we are removing the old level type that was there, that was set for other instances. We want to go back to the default value. It would be a good idea to also set the music type in here. If you've been following the series, we have this music type. We didn't do this, but it would be smart to do that, to just reset the music type back to none. We actually don't want to set this music type to none, but we want to set it to main menu because we do have music for the main menu. So none for the level type and main menu for the music type. Now we want to go to our other levels. So again, my side scroller example map, and open up the level blueprint there. We had our get game instance and cast to the base game instance, and then we had the setting of the music type and playing the music as well. I've just added one little note in here to set the level type to be the training stage. So same thing that we did in the main menu, just changing the value to training stage. Lastly, we have our training room. We want to go to the level blueprint, and it's going to be the same deal. We already had the music type and the play music, but I've made sure to set the level type to be training stage 2 when we load up this level. Anyway guys, that's all I got, so thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please subscribe, and consider joining the Patreon or YouTube membership. I'll show the benefits here, and you can click the link in the top right corner to get started. If you ran into any issues while watching this tutorial or any of my tutorials, feel free to join the Discord community, and I'd be happy to help you out. That is completely free. Like I said guys, that's all I got, so thank you so much for watching. I'm Shawnthebro, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye guys.